What's going on? What's going on? This is Bugsy Laveau. Thank you guys for tuning in. 94.9 The City. We are the City Boys. My partner is off today, but I'm still going to hold it down the best way I can. We have a very, very special guest. Someone who I did not know much of, but then after kind of doing my research, I was like, oh, this guy definitely has a very colorful history in Fort Myers. Now, without further ado, we have Mr. Eric Raddatz.
Hey, it's great to be here. How's it going, Bugsy?
It is going very well. I'm very excited for this. So let's get right into it. Stir of Echoes. Not many may know. Kevin Bacon, the legend. Anywho, you had a very prominent role in the movie, a.k.a. you were an extra.
I love that. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it home for me. As not something I usually introduce by saying I was in that, but I was. It's a creepy movie. It's really it's kind of scary, and I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. But I guess the idea would be that now all of you listening in are now within 1 degree of separation of Kevin Bacon, because I did. It was silly because my background is visual journalism. Mm-hmm. I was working for the Joliet Herald News at the time, and the movie's being shot at the railroad station, actually in Joliet. And while we're doing this story, I went down. They said, "You want to be an extra?" And I didn't even really know what being an extra was. And I said, "Okay, sure." So they put me on set, and I met Katie Erb. And Kevin Bacon he's right there, and they gave me a bit role and kind of taught me quite a bit about how much work goes into it. We shot a scene that lasted probably about 6 to 10 seconds on screen, and we were there for 2 full days.
Damn. But is it safe to say that birthed your interest in filmmaking?
I would say probably more like take you back even maybe another decade or two when I was a kid, watching my dad shoot 8mm, 16mm film, and then showing us what that looks like. I'd probably give more credit to growing up in kind of a mom's a dancer, dad's a singer, photographer, filmmaker, and getting really early on into classic movies, Singing in the Rain.
Real quick, what's like your top 3 movies of all time?
I'm gonna go with When Harry Met Sally, and this is tough to say, and I want to say there's something about Mary or Vanilla Sky or Casablanca or Casablanca. I don't know. I have top 50, which is online, which I'll send you the link if you want it.
For sure.
I have a top 50, but I have I have the classic favorites, and then the ones that I'll put on always, like Joe versus Volcano, for example. It sounds.
I have no clue what that is.
I know, it's fine. or I'll watch. I don't know. It's probably ridiculous.
Sharknado.
Yeah, well, there you go. Geez, that's something that will get you excited. Is that a movie?
Yeah, it is a movie. It's like a cult classic on Netflix.
What's your favorite movie, Bugsy? Turn it around you.
My favorite movie of all time has to be Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell.
Oh man, yeah, anything Will Ferrell is in. I have a couple of his probably at the top of mine as well. But it's hard to pick. It's like picking your favorite, ice cream or something. Yeah, everyone's got that too, though.
So fast forward a little bit, right? So you had this love for filmmaking. You were an extra, but then we fast forwarded to 2000. Maybe this is wrong. I don't know if this is the correct date, but 2005. Okay. When A Day to Love and Die came out.
Sure, and that sounds perfectly right. You have done your research.
And this is that you...
I wrote it. I shot it, directed it, produced it.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't score it, nor did I edit that. But with my next film, 2 years later, Barely a Chance, I did. And this is before there was a whole lot of filming activity in Fort Myers. Yeah. And if you were to find somebody who had a copy of that, I would be surprised, because I've managed to check them off the list and get rid of all the people who have ever seen that movie. They're not around.
I was trying.
It's a conspiracy theory. It's true. You can't find a copy because it was not that great of a movie.
I swear to God, I was on YouTube trying to get a trailer. At least.
No, you will not. You will not find. Actually, I'm probably Film Fort Myers Film Festival's in our 10th year. And I'm thinking by 15 or 20 or 25, we'll play kind of like the cult following of the Day to Live and Die, which stars some people that you'd be surprised where they're at today.
Okay.
I'm not going to give away a whole lot, but they have all gone on to do some pretty cool things. And but if you looked at it was my first film.
Yeah.
And I had really, aside from being an extra and being visual journalism background, I hadn't really picked up the camera, and I see so many errors in it now, which is important to fail, especially when you're filmmaking, because then you say, I'm never going to do that again, or I thought it was a good idea and now I realize it's not, and that brings you to a better place. I mean, it's like life. You gotta really mess up sometimes to figure yourself out. And so, yes, that is on IMDb, and I'm credited with also playing. I had a role in that one as well. But certainly the bug had caught on by that year.
Right.
Probably actually 2 to 3 years before I'd already kind of started writing it.
Let me ask you, how long did it take to make that movie?
So because
Sounds like a lot of work.
Well, I'm working full time, and at the time I had 2 young children,
right?
And so it was pretty much a weekend warrior.
Oh, wow.
Like, so instead of like the guy who just like was going out to the bars and like hanging out, talking sports, I was sitting there reading, trying to look at the rules, look at the character building, try to find locations, people, and then rehearsing, and then filming.
Did you have someone guide you, or be like a mentor, or
I looked up to there was a couple people in town who had done some, but I pretty much went just ass backwards into it, and just said I'm going to give this a shot, and honestly, you do learn right away just how much work goes into it by trying something that way. And so it might not have, whatever you want to say about the correct or incorrect approach to making a film, it certainly was a learning experience.
Right.
And a lot of times, the problem is a lot of people talk about I'm gonna do a project, or I'm doing a project, and then they never do the project. They're always writing, they're always thinking about it. You have to do it at some point.
Right.
You just have to lock down and do it, try it, and then learn from it. And that's kind of what I did. So it was more of it was a passion. You realize that what each hat that I wore, be it from makeup to arranging the extras to producing to talking through the edit to talking through the scene to blocking, and provided lunch, and it's interesting to see a lot of filmmakers now who submit films to the Fort Myers Film Festival. They're doing the exact same thing. They've got a passion. They're building character, and it's one of those accolades that won't be an Emmy or an Oscar or a Golden Globe,
right?
But it's something that you won't forget. And when you decide if you're going to get into any more further into filmmaking, having a film like A Day to Love and Die, which I do, is a point of reference as to how much work goes into it, how you can do it poorly, and then it also helps you appreciate when good films come along. So I'll leave it at it's dear to me. It's kind of like when you're a child though in kindergarten crayoning your first picture. Your mom's real proud of it. You're proud of it, but it's not really a masterpiece as much as it's a masterpiece to you. So it's kind of like what's important to you is
it's like your first car. It's like it's your baby, but it's like.
Right. Yeah. Mine was I had an Oldsmobile Delta 88, and it was a 1976 car. So it was not exactly the best car in the world, but it was dear to
right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was like.
So fast forward, you start the Naples International Film Festival in 2009.
That's right. Yeah. And we sat down and we brought a lot of good films to Naples. We were looking at a city that was sophisticated enough to understand. And as I met with Myra Jenko Daniels with the Naples Philharmonic, now it's called something else, and I'm slipping my mind. Artist Naples.
Okay.
With Mercado, with the Silver Spot Theater Group, and with other organizations, there was an openness to it. The Naples Daily News covered it. John Forrester came out, and we played a little film called The Cove, which Louis Sahoyas happened to direct, and he won an Oscar for it. We played it here in Southwest Florida first, and it kind of set a bar, really, as to what a film festival could be in Southwest Florida. And,
so for those that don't know, because I don't really know, right? So explain what exactly is a film festival? Like, what is the purpose of it?
Thank you for asking, because I get this a lot, and I feel like just a total ass that I've moved so fast forward. So film festival is essentially you have a maybe 4 to 10 day event. Ours is usually 4 or 5 days, where you screen films that have been submitted to you from all over the world, and then you play them in a theater, and it's kind of called a film festival, but it's essentially just a lot of film screenings. Within there's oftentimes there'll be panels, there'll be discussions, there'll be parties. Ours happens to have a great red carpet ceremony and usually some sort of after party.
Okay.
But usually what we're looking at is exploring independent film and the importance of independent film. So not the big blockbuster, no offense to the big blockbuster,
Right.
but the guy who says, I have a passion for how music can change greater increased memory with those with Alzheimer's dementia patients. Alive Inside, it's on iTunes now. We played it about 3 or 4 years ago. We played that film here, and so we're playing between 30 to 70 films.
Oh wow.
Short films, full-length features, comedies, all different varieties, documentaries, student films, and you can submit your film, short films, short films. This year we have a category environment, but we've looked at faith, diversity.
Okay.
These are all subject matter that we. What was a better way to put it? I'm going to go back and I'm going to use that wording and I'll put it in my next press release.
It works.
Okay. But that's exactly it.
Okay, so that was 2009, but then in 2010 you started the Fort Myers Film Festival.
Yeah, and so I was living in Cape Coral, and a lot of friends in Fort Myers. They said we really would like one here.
Right.
So I sat down with folks like Jim Griffith at the Sidney and Byrne Davis Arts Center, Scott Saxon at Barbara Mann, Lydia Black at Alliance for the Arts. We worked at the Imaginarium, now the IMAG. In different theaters and schools, and we said, is there some support for this? And the answer was yes. So that was 9 years ago. We're going on our 10th year in 2020. We'll be celebrating May 6th through 10th, 2020. Find us at FortMyersFilmFestival.com. And but yeah, it was an easy kind of move because there was already kind of an understanding of what needed to be done.
Right.
And it's a different market,
right.
But there are the same type of people, a percentage that really get the importance of independent film.
Right.
A lot of times people will make films just to make money. People do it as a passion project, and some really look for change. And the kind of films that have gone on to change the way we see, the way we understand each other has made us kind of a more tolerant society. It helps us to understand a perspective that's not ours.
Right.
We grow up in this little, world sometimes, and we never step foot out of it. And so someone comes along and says, I'm going to teach you what it's like to be a black person adopted in a white family living in Utah, for example, which is something we played Loki Mulholland's film this past year. And it kind of just pushes down all the barriers of any sort of direct kind of like framework that might impede a discussion. And so and these then turn into discussions, and people can say, yeah, some agree, some disagree. We're not trying to preach and say we believe everything we play, but we believe that everything we play will start a conversation that will help people to at least talk about it. We're human beings. We're united in living on this earth. And what I didn't understand about Alzheimer's, what I didn't understand about racism, what I didn't understand about people who grew up in having type 1 diabetes or cystic fibrosis, or just being a woman and trying to become a pilot, for example, which these are things that I personally benefited from, and I see that I'm not the only one. We go out to the audience and people are thinking the same thing. They say the same thing. Say, wow, this is great.
I feel like films allow you for 1 for 2 or 3, whatever time span, but it allows you for those hours to put other people's point of view on your own. You can see things through other people's lenses.
Exactly.
So what is like the vetting process for people who want to submit films?
Anyone can submit a film. It's open to everyone. We accept films from anywhere in the world, any genre. We have a team. We have a programming director and then a programming team who look through them. We have hundreds of submissions from all over the world who give me suggestions as to. I try to watch everyone, but at this point, it's in the hundreds and hundreds of. And I really, honestly, do try to watch each one because it's that special to me. It's every piece that's submitted is treated tenderly. Even when it might be a first time, there sometimes is a message. It may not have the sophisticated editing or color, production. So I try to look at all. So the vetting process is we look at it. We try to ask, will our audience like this? Is there audience for it? Will someone come out and spend $10 to see this? Right. And is it something that needs to be discussed from a bigger perspective, a community standpoint? Right. And we've worked with films. We played a film, Maya Angelou When I Rise, which turned into going to PBS 2 years after it played here.
Oh wow!
But the directors who came down here, they screened it here, and then it played at Quality of Life Center, and we played it at the Heights Foundation, and we brought them to kids who then started their own poetry, entertainment poetry, music, and performances. And the directors said to me, Rita Wack and Bob Hercules, they said, we're going to change the way we distribute, because you've shown us that we're not just making money, we're not just getting eyeballs, we are affecting the community. This is a message. What Maya Angelou went through. She went through abuse. She went through detachment, abandonment, obviously racism, and what she became, I think, gives some people a real hope, an honest hope. Yeah. And I don't know how we started talking about that, other than to say when that one came along, I knew that it was important not just to play it because it would go on, and it's gone on to win Emmys. It's on PBS. But also because within our community, there's a lot of people who are in a situation like Maya Angelou, who have been there, and who don't know another way out. Sure. And so it's very inspiring. So we try to inspire, we try to educate and inform, but we try to entertain and have a good time too. If it's all possible, we do it all.
No, that's beautiful, man. Something else that I wanted to touch on is, thank God for Indie Mondays, right? Which is coming in September
2nd, first Monday of the month, downtown at Sydney Burn Davis Arts Center.
What exactly is that?
So thank God for Indie Mondays. We place short films. What is it? What is a short film exactly? So usually between 3 minutes to 12 minutes. We'll play between 4 to 6 of them. Okay. And we engage with usually a panel of judges who are known for filmmaking, or who are political, or who are mayors, or I think Jade, actually, who runs at the station, she's going to be a
shout out Jade.
Shout out to Jade. She's going to have to get her tuckus into the TGIM,
the infamous tuckus,
and she'll lead kind of a discussion. This is a good film because I saw something interesting, or didn't find something interesting, and then the audience says, we liked it or we didn't like it, and it's a real honest approach, and I'm very open-minded to how people see it, because when you're sitting at your laptop at home and you think you know everything, like sometimes I do, and you think you're smarter than everybody, which sometimes I do, you get out and you play a film that you think everyone's going to love, and everyone does not. And the reality is that you're not smarter than everyone else. But what you do see is that people gravitate towards different films for different reasons, and they see things in different films for different reasons. So TGIM, it's September 2nd at the City Burn Davis Arts Center, 7 o'clock. We're going to play between 4 to 6 films that have been submitted to us, and we're deciding, we're letting the public say, this is how we think about this film. We're going to help you judge it, whether or not it should be in the final programming. Yeah. So we'll say thumbs up, thumbs down, kind of like Gong Show or American Idol, or stand up. Pick your show, The Voice. We have judges. They didn't like, they discuss it, and then the audience gives their perspectives and their honest perspectives. Yeah. You'd be surprised. I feel like so much fun.
Yeah, that's amazing, because the whoever's filming it is, they can get the reactions in real time. Not online or through whatever. It's right then and there. Whether helpful critique.
And Bugs, you'd be surprised, but that is one of the smartest observations. Not a lot of people get that, but the truth is, these filmmakers, they get to see how an audience responds to their work, and you can't get that anywhere else. And there's places, all over the world. I know a couple places in LA that are now starting to do it, and I've heard of one in New York, but we've been doing that here for the last 10 years, and 11 if you count when I was doing it in Naples. And the truth is, we had John Schooler, great filmmaker, had this film. This woman raised her hand. She goes, "I don't know what the hell you were trying to say, because I don't get it." And the truth is, it was too subtle. Yeah. It was not direct. It was only he got it because he was so into it, and he changed the way he edited it from that. And that's kind of good, because it makes you a better filmmaker. And we have filmmakers who've gone on to do great things from here, and I think a lot of it is because there's an honest, open, kind of like unified group who's not going to just nod their head and say that was great. Yeah. They say that wasn't great, it was pretty good. Yeah. But here's what I think, and then an honest approach to responding, and not an offensive way.
I feel like that's very important, because as a creative, sometimes you get lost in your own art. You know what I'm saying? You get lost in your head and creating it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it means something to you. The nice thing is that if it means something to you, it probably will mean something to someone else. But how it's perceived and interpreted is something that's up for discussion. And it doesn't. No one else needs to get it for some people. But if you're trying to have some sort of penetration within a filmmaking kind of community, cynics will look at it and they'll say, I didn't like it. Right. And in your head, it's like, but I do. So, screw all y'all. Yeah. But the truth is that if you really want to play to an audience who wants to enjoy it, and you know what? Sometimes changing it's not the answer either, because maybe they're not the demographic you're trying to reach. But it's all a learning experience. Right. But it is a lot. It's exactly like that. You're getting in from your head. You're seeing something, and someone else does not see it that way. Yeah. It broadens your perspective.
Right. Right. All right. Well, Eric, thank you for coming on. This has been a quick but very insightful conversation. I'm definitely looking forward for Thank God for Indie Mondays. I'm definitely gonna get tickets and show up. And thank you for coming, man.
Well, I look forward to it. When you show up, make sure you come see me. I'm gonna give you a T-shirt.
For sure.
You got to wear it around town. Okay. I expect a 94.9 one as well.
Okay. We're working on those. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. 94.9 City Boys. We are out.
Thanks again.